So when some people are thinking about buying a new car, a question that often comes up is, do I buy new or do I buy used? And there are a lot of opinions on this, with some of the advice leaning on the side of you never buy a brand new car, you always buy used, and better yet, save up, pay cash for your car. And that's not bad advice, because as a lot of us know, new cars, they can depreciate a lot within the first 1 to 2 years, and used cars, they are cheaper. And if you buy one that's maybe 1 to 3 years old, it's like you're getting a new car, but without the new price tag. The last 2 cars that I owned have been used. The first one I purchased in 2001. It was, I think, about 3 years old, and I drove that one all the way until 2010. And then in 2010, I purchased one that was a year old, and I drove it. Well, technically we're still driving it, but it was my main car until last year when I decided to get a new one. On the day that this video goes live, it will be 1 year to the day that I bought my last car, and it was brand new. It was a 2021, which is something that I said I would never do again. Because I got great prices on my previous used cars, I said that for every future car purchase, I was always going to search used. I was always going to buy within maybe 1 to 3 years, because it didn't really make sense to buy anything new, because in both situations, even though the cars were used, they were, in my opinion, like new. And the one that I purchased that was only a year old, it had so few miles, and it even had a little hint of the new car smell. But even though I said that, here I am. So I want to talk a little bit about that decision and why I made it. And to be clear, I'm not promoting one way or the other, but as someone who's been on both sides of the coin, I do understand that it is a personal decision, although you should always do what's best for your finances. Before making my decision, I took several things into consideration, and these are things that you can also consider if you're on the fence about whether to buy new or used. So the first reason why I was okay with this decision is because at the end of the day, this car was really the only one that I really wanted and even liked. And I know that realistically, we all cannot get what we want, obviously, but when you're shopping for a car, I think it's important to at least get something that you like. And that applies whether you are buying a new car or you are saving up and paying cash. Because I do feel that if you get something that you like, it will be easier to be content and then keep that car for a longer period of time if you're able to. With all of my cars, there's never been anything super special about them, but they were cars that I liked, whether it was the body style, the color, what have you. And I do believe that with my older 2 cars, the fact that I did enjoy driving them was probably the reason why I was able to keep them for as long as I did, 9 and 10 years, with no issue. And when I began the search, my intent was to buy it used. However, the issue that I ran into was that this particular body style, it was a newer body style, and there were certain features that I was very specific that I wanted. A salesperson at one of the dealerships basically came out and said, if I was looking for that car with those certain features, I probably wouldn't be able to find it used anytime soon, at least not for a couple of years. There was a limited number of cars with those features to begin with, so it wasn't looking good. And when they were searching to see if they can find that particular car used, there was none anywhere on the East Coast within like a 6-hour drive. So once all of this was explained to me, I had a decision to make. Do I wait and hope that I'm able to eventually find it used? Do I buy something that I kind of like? Or do I bite the bullet and just buy a brand new car? In the end, this was the only car that I really liked, and after 10 years, I was ready for something new. Plus, I was able to get a good price. We were able to negotiate it where I was able to get the 2021, but at the 2020 price. And one fear I had at the time is not knowing how I would feel about the purchase in the upcoming weeks or months, but after a year, I have to say that I don't regret it at all. If I had a do-over, I would do it again. The second reason why I was okay with this decision is because I keep my cars for a long time. When I purchase a vehicle, I don't drive it for 2 or 3 years and then sell it or trade it in. When I get a car, I'm in it for 9, 10 years. So I do feel as if I'm going to get the most out of this vehicle, and if I'm fortunate, hopefully it will be years before I have to deal with anything major. Over the years, I've seen many people save up and pay cash for cars that might be 6 to 8 years old. And, I think that's smart. Not having a car payment, reducing your debt, it really creates more opportunities to save money. But one thing I've noticed about this approach, and it's not all the time, but sometimes it's like they're shopping for a new car every 3 or 4 years. And, they're okay with that. But I know personally, that's not really something I want to do. So even if I didn't buy a new car, I still would have purchased one that was only maybe 1 to 3 years old. Another reason why I was okay with this decision is because I put down a down payment. Now, with new cars, there's often concerns about negative equity, which is something that I am very familiar with. Early in our marriage, my husband and I, we bought a brand new car. And then 2 years later, we traded in that car and purchased another one, which was also brand new. And like a lot of people, we just rolled that negative equity into the new car loan. But we were young at the time, so we really didn't understand the financial hole that we were digging for ourselves. And it was actually a couple of more years before that even clicked. And at that point, we were like, okay, we have to break this cycle. And once we paid off that car, we actually kept it. And we had it for a total of 14 years. And we didn't sell it until last year. And because of that, I was able to put down a bigger down payment on the newer car. So fortunately, I don't have any negative equity, and what I currently owe, it is much less than the car's actual value. I also made a decision early on to accelerate the payments. That way I can eat away at this balance quickly and hopefully have it paid off within 36 months so I can move on. So those are my reasons. And for anyone who might be on the fence, at the end of the day, big purchases, they are big decisions, and you really have to consider where you are at the moment and also how that decision could potentially affect your finances long term. Now, getting into a new car payment, or any payment for that matter, means that you will obviously have less disposable cash, which means less money to save. But I feel, and this is just my opinion, that it shouldn't get to the point where you're unable to save anything after the purchase, because I do feel that that's when it becomes dangerous, because a car, it is a depreciating asset. The value will decline over time, and I've even heard some people describe a new car purchase as one of the worst investments you can make. So if you do decide to go this route, make sure your finances are in good shape. So that's all that I have for you guys today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing. Here we talk a lot about personal finance. So if you like videos like this, I do post every weekend and sometimes during the week. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in a few days.